Separated by cosmic cabinets, Brandon, Paul, and Logan are broadcasting the Nintendo Stuff Podcast live using their telepathic powers. My name is Brandon Miracle. If you look south of me in the video version, you'll see the beautiful and wonderful face of Paul Anderson broadcasting live from the Break Room Clubhouse. If you look to the right of me in the video version, you'll see the wonderful and maybe talented face of Logan Welliver. Oh, I just threw some shade your direction, Logan. Broadcasting live from the Break Room bedroom. Challenger approaching. We have a guest this week, none other than Speedrunner extraordinaire, SeaAverage. Welcome.
Hello, thanks.
Or as he's known to us, Joey.
Joey.
Yeah. Oh man, you just revealed his secret identity.
So Joey was at Sgdq last week.
What's Sgdq?
Tell us.
Summer Games Done Quick.
And what were you doing?
So Games Done Quick is twice a year speedrunning marathon that is used to raise a bunch of money for charity. So they do awesome Games Done Quick every January, and that normally raises money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. And then they do the Summer Games Done Quick in June, and that raises money for Doctors Without Borders. And
how much did you guys raise this time around?
This summer event actually set a record for the summer event. It was the first time that it broke $2 million. Normally the winter one raises a little more money. So anyway, first time it broke $2 million, and I think the final total was just over $2.1 million.
Congratulations.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
Always awesome to hear.
It's always exciting when they're like, they do donation incentives as well, and it becomes like this little game. It's like, okay, who can like award more money or say something funny on the stream that they read off, or say something really encouraging. It's just a really like wholesome experience built around something as fascinating as speedrunning.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and you meet so many cool people. I mean, right off the get-go, and normally if you're part of speedrunning, you're part of a community of people that are also speedrunning that game. So like I was hanging out with Ori and the Blind Forest people all week. We got a bunch of hotel rooms together and stuff, so that was a lot of fun.
So this was actually your first Sgdq experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first like convention of any sort of kind experience.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really, like I didn't really know what to expect. Luckily, I had a friend going as well as the whole Ori community, but I didn't really know them. But I mean, yeah, it was a great time. Definitely something I'd love to do again. I've already like looked at the cost of going to DC to go to the event in January.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what kind of venue was this? Was like a traditional convention center? Was it a convention hotel?
It was at a hotel. So
okay, that's what it looked like to me. Yeah. And okay, the reason I ask is because I do hotel AV, right? Okay. So I deal with conventions all the time. They're not like super big, a lot of smaller ones. And I was like, that looks like a hotel. I think they're doing like they're just holding this event in a hotel. I was like, that I don't know why it just made me want to be there. I think it's because like just because of the venue, and like it's not a lot of people, right? Relatively, it's not a lot of people who are involved in this kind of event. But then they cast it out to the internet, and all of a sudden, the event just has grown that much bigger, and then you can do these massive things just through the internet. Oh man, I'd love to be there watching the speed runs just get done. Do you guys do they project them onto like screens?
Yeah,
for the audience.
So
okay.
They actually do a couple of cool things. So if you're in the big stream room, which is what you see if you're watching the stream, on Twitch, the background is the big stream room. There were two big projectors that you could watch it from in there, which is actually not where you spent most of the time. So the event is at a hotel, and there's also a block of rooms that GDQ reserves at that hotel as well. So a lot of people stay at the same hotel.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And the hotel actually, and I guess they do this at most of the events. The like local hotel channel or whatever also had the GDQ stream.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we actually spent a lot of time like in the hotel rooms with the stream on, so that we could all hang out, be a little more comfy.
Right.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like such a great time. It kind of makes me want to speed run, right?
Yeah.
It kind of makes me want to speed run, but at the same time, I'm not that great at games. Especially a lot of the ones you do speed run. And secondly, I know it's got to take a lot of time, right?
I definitely don't put in as much time as the people that are a lot faster than me in most games.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you want to be like the best speed runner, you gotta play a lot more than others.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Just out of curiosity, do you have like any tips for people who want to get into speedrunning? Like, how do you get to start doing that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing is definitely to pick a game that you're willing to play over and over and over again, because you're gonna have to. That's how you're gonna get better. And then secondly, like a big bonus is finding a game that also has a really nice community with it. So like with Master Spy, there was it was me and a couple friends that were picking up this game that there weren't a ton of other runs for. So that was cool. And then with Ori, just the community is so cool and so like helpful and friendly and fun, and so that makes it a whole lot more fun to grind. And every time you get a PB, you post it in the Discord, and everyone's like freaking out, congratulating you for your PB, and like so that helps a lot too.
For the record, your game that you were there for was Master Spy.
Yes, that is correct.
For everybody at home.
So I was on the couch and was the backup runner. So had I decided not to go and pick up the runner from the airport.
So what was it like on the couch?
Is the couch as comfy as it looks?
Yeah. So I mean, it was definitely maybe not just as nerve-wracking, but I definitely felt nervous on the couch, just as I would have had I actually been running. We did a lot of practice commentary, but it's still just like it was a short run. It ended up being 20 minutes. So trying to get everything that we wanted to talk about into that 20-minute run was a challenge that we had to deal with. And as far as how comfy the couch is, I'll tell you that if you go watch the Hob speed run, it was at like 4 in the morning, and Muncha Koopas actually fell asleep. So
I mean, was that because it was 4 in the morning or because it was comfy?
I mean,
it could be either.
It was it was a pretty good couch.
I would think it would be both.
So is it like the Sgdq or the GDQ couch, or was it just a couch?
I don't know for sure. I
just bring the same couch.
I believe maybe the couches are like maybe at the hotels.
Okay, I wanted to know if it was like a special couch.
It'd be amazing if they had a trailer and they just take the couch to every
there's actually 2 couches. So there's the couch that like the runner chooses who sits on the couch right behind them, and then behind that on the floor, like right behind the stage, is another couch for first come first serve. Anyone can come sit. There's a lot of times people that are community, either friends with the runner or part of the community of the game or whatever, will sit on that couch right behind the stage, or right in front of the stage. But
so you mentioned it was a bit nerve-wracking to be on the couch. Even though you weren't necessarily the one doing the speed running, but you were still there and you were part of the commentating. What was it like to know like that you had people behind you watching?
I mean, the people behind me watching was not as much of a big deal as it was knowing that there were 150,000 people that can actually see my face. But no, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I have wanted to kind of show off Master Spy more and stuff since I've started running it. So being a part of that was really awesome. So
kind of jumping off of that, what got you into speedrunning? Where did this start?
So I had to think about this quite a bit. I think the very first speedrun that I saw was TGH running Undertale. at an Agdq, I believe. So that was probably a couple years ago. And then after that, I was like, well, playing games fast seems kind of fun. And I found out that, one of my friends, I mean, you guys know Skippy. His cousin is Obi Doby, the one that ran Master Spy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he had been running Hyperlight Drifter, and he's like a really good Hyperlight Drifter runner. So I was like, well, I want to learn how to speedrun. Let's learn a speed game together. And so we started picking up Master Spy because it was something that I had in my Steam library that I felt like I could probably play fast. And so I did.
Let me ask you, this is just something I was curious about. I know like you worked with Chris, the developer of Master Spy. Did that influence your decision to start running it at all, or?
I don't know if it influenced my decision to start running it, but it's definitely been cool running it while knowing the developer.
When was like Master Spy released? How new?
2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it looks really old, but it's not.
Right. It felt very classic.
Yeah.
Right. And I really liked the style, and I'm like, but I don't think this is an old game.
Right.
I think I heard Chris talk about it like once in my time at school, and I get the impression that he's like really into like classic games, and that might be why he was trying to kind of capture that.
Yeah.
But like, how does knowing the developer kind of affect speedrunning the game? Like, does that change anything, or?
It's really cool having the developer be like, he's literally part of the speedrunning community. So because we're so small, we don't have like our own Master Spy speedrunning Discord. We're part of the Turbo Gun Discord. So the developer literally owns the Discord that we're a part of and have all these speedrun conversations and stuff in. So anytime we find something, it's really cool because he can like see it and kind of explain to us like, oh, the reason you can clip through the floor here is because when you roll jump, it lowers your hitbox and it puts it below the floor that you're supposed to be able to jump up through, so you fall down through it instead. Like, and like just stuff like that where he actually explains the tech to us, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm guessing if you just want to do a speed run of Master Spy, if you're interested in doing a speed run of Master Spy, you can obviously just go to the Discord and join the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have any tutorial stuff yet. I was supposed to make that before GDQ. So yeah, but it's a pretty simple run. So honestly, watching a run, like watching either world record or watching one of the slower runs, like mine or even slower than that, can definitely help you learn the run.
Right.
It's a real. I mean, it's a hard game.
Yeah.
For any of you that have played it, it's a hard game, but it's honestly way easier to play fast than it is to play casually.
Right.
Because we hit all of the cycle, like we hit so many cycles, and we have tricks to skip really crappy things.
Right.
Whereas casually you're doing crappy rooms and you're like standing still thinking about a cycle when really you should have just ran, like just keep going.
I probably need to watch one of your runs because I was watching you guys play through it at Sgdq, and I had no idea that it could be played that fast because I'm awful at that game.
Yeah.
It took OBW to like 20 minutes to beat the game. It took 20 minutes to get through like the first mission.
Right. I mean, I'm just the same way. I think my casual playthrough was like 6 hours or something crazy. So, and I mean, now we have like last night we got 3 new world records in the game. So,
oh wow.
It's going even faster. Shout, as you guys would know, you would know him as Devin. He just broke the any percent blind master and 100% world record, which 100% didn't have any runs yet, but he put up a really good time. So I mean, whatever. And he crushed the previous times. So before last night, the any percent world record was held by Obi, and it was 15. 15:19, I think, was the world record. And last night Devin ran a no, hold on. It was 16:19, and last night Devin ran a 15:21.
15. I was literally just looking at the speedrun.com.
I saw him tweet about it.
And then I don't think it registered, and I saw Shout 64, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, like it really sank in. I was like, oh, that's Devin. These are people we know.
Yeah.
We have personal relationships and have interactions with. It's just, I'll just say this. It's incredible going to school and meeting all these people, and maybe you don't get to know all of them the best or something like that, but sometimes you reconnect, and it's just incredible to see these people do incredible things. So even something like speedrunning, like we get you on here, it's like we know Joey, and all of a sudden he's doing something really cool and he's in a SgdQ, and that just happens like everywhere. Like, so this is so cool. This is so cool. You guys are really good. You guys are really
Thank you. Thank you.
Was this is the first year that Master Spy was at Sgdq, right?
Yes. I think it had maybe been submitted previously, but hadn't been accepted. So this year was the first time it had been run.
And so you and OBW, you guys really made the push to get it there this year, right?
Yeah, we both submitted it. We submitted any percent. We submitted any percent race. We submitted any percent 2 players 1 keyboard, and then once it got accepted, we submitted any percent 2 player 1 keyboard again as a donation incentive because we really wanted to do that. So we're probably going to keep submitting that until we manage to get that in. But yeah, we definitely tried really hard. I did a lot of streaming before the submissions and stuff, just showing that we're ready to show this game off.
So far, what's your personal best for Master Spy?
1802 with a garbage soft lock somewhere in there. So I think my last 3 PBs have all included a soft lock where I had to like Alt F4 and relaunch the game in the middle of the run. So I need to work a little bit and try and get the sub 18 because I should be able to with that. But oh well.
And so while you were there, you were playing through Celeste while there, right?
Yeah, I bought Celeste right before I left and then played it in the hotel room.
And then you got to meet the developers there, right?
Yeah. So Devil Squirrel they're really cool. Devil Squirrel did the Celeste task that was showcased at GDQ, and he's an Ori runner. He's done Ori tasks. He makes auto splitters for a bunch of different speedruns. Like he does a lot of really cool stuff. So the developers were flying in to be on the couch for the Celeste race, and then Devil was the one that ended up picking them up from the airport right before our massive Ori group dinner. So they just ended up coming to the Ori dinner with him. So we got to, hang out, talk to him a little there. And then after the Celeste race, a bunch of us went to like IHOP at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And we got, they went with us and I got to sit and talk to them there a little bit too.
Did they tell you anything like interesting? Did you learn anything about the game from them? Or
so there were the 2 developers, and then Power Up Audio actually had a lot to do with the Celeste game as well. And Power Up Audio is the team that always does the audio for the GDQ events. Between
Power Up Audio,
you should check them out because they're pretty cool.
I should check them.
And a lot of those guys are speedrunners themselves too. But so they talked to us about the things that like were intended, because the Celeste is a game that was built for it was built with speedrunning in mind, but also
it's got the built-in counter.
Well, even most of the tech in the game was intentionally there. So anything that looks like a glitch is actually probably intentional tech. So they built it in a way that it's great for speedrunning, but is also a great casual playthrough because you don't have to do any of the tech. But like jumping on spikes. The spike jumps are totally intended. The refunding your dash by doing hypers and supers and stuff like that, totally intended. So it was really cool talking to them about what it was like to do stuff like, to try and build a game that was meant for speedrunning but also could be played casually and enjoyed. And I mean, they killed it. A lot of games try to be directed towards speedrunners, and then they just end up not being good speed games or good casual games.
I think the difference here is that Celeste is very upfront about how difficult it is, and then also about the concessions they've made to allow anybody to experience it and enjoy that experience. And a lot of them are switches you got to turn on, like options that are like, hey, if you can't do this, turn this on.
Yeah, they have like an assist mode, which I haven't actually messed with any of the assist mode stuff.
Right. And
I did at one point.
That's probably a reason I'll never finish Super Meat Boy. Right.
Right.
The game's too hard for me, and I don't have the patience for that kind of game. I have other games to play.
Yeah.
So, but if there's accessibility stuff, then I might be able to beat it. But then you have to ask the question: do you want to beat that game in that way? Whereas, probably not. Meat Boy is very focused on the actual gameplay, not the story's just kind of holding all the levels together, right? Whereas Celeste, from my understanding, they take good time with the story and the atmosphere, and so even if you're not into the gameplay so much, or you don't want to fight with the gameplay because you suck or something like that, I suck too, so that's not a slight against anybody. But at least there's that to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a person. This might be weird since I try to play games fast, and that's difficult. But when I play a game casually, I pretty much always play on easy. Like, I like enjoying my games, not fighting with my games. Which again, I didn't have to turn on any assist stuff for Celeste, but I haven't messed with too many of the B and C sides yet either.
Right. Those get ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I'm on the third B side, and it's kicking my butt. So
I only found like one B side on my first playthrough, and like I looked at it, and I made it past like the first screen, and then I was done.
Yeah.
But I absolutely adore Celeste for that reason. Like, you're able to play that game however you need to.
Yeah.
So if you're not the best, you have options. If you really want to challenge yourself, like, they have the strawberries and other things that you can try and find to make it more difficult for you. So they just really balanced it really well.
And there's so much content. Like, holy cow. There's so much content for such a, relatively cheap game. It's incredible.
So are you gonna start running that? Is that one of your games? Or?
I have been dabbling with it. I honestly don't love the tech and stuff, and there are certain mechanics that I don't really love. So I love the game casually, and I love watching the speedrun. I probably will not push myself very hard to speedrun it. I might, do it every once in a while, play it quickly. I've done like one semi speed run of it that was like just under 3 hours, but for the most part I will probably just keep playing that one casually, try and get through all the B and C sides and find the strawberries.
It's also nice to have games that you don't play competitively or not speed running, because like this game, it doesn't seem like you want to speed run it necessarily. It's not a game that you want to play over and over and over again and make as efficient as possible. It's nice to have games that are kind of occupy both sides. One more as like of a task to accomplish, that being the speed running, where the other one is like, okay, I'm looking to relax, so I'm gonna hop into some GTA and I'm gonna cause some ruckus, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Some people will love to speed run Celeste. Many people do. So
it's. I think it's currently the most active game on speedrun.com. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. That game went from a 0 to 100 in no time.
It's a good game.
Partially it was because they got a huge push from like Nintendo, because they showcased their indies, right? So when they showcased Celeste, everybody was like, "Whoa, game!" And everybody started to play it. And then, you know, all the reviewers got it on their hands. And everybody.
I mean, I just need to listen to IGN talk about it once, and then I accidentally bought it. Accidentally, you know.
You just buy that game for the soundtrack, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm down for the soundtrack. So I've had games where I've, you know, the soundtrack is what ties everything together, you know, especially if they're going for atmosphere. And some of my favorite games also have some of my favorite soundtracks. I think that's partially because those tend to be the most complete games, like the most complete experiences. Something like Journey or The Last of Us or numerous Nintendo games, any Zelda game, really. All that good stuff.
Dream Drop Sword in the chat says Celeste is super welcoming to players of all skill levels. It's so cool to see how inclusive it is because it widens its appeal.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Totally agree.
So, what other games do you run?
So right now it's just Master Spy and Ori and the Blind Forest. But the 12-hour speedrunning challenge should be coming up soon, which they do that twice a year after GDQs, where, you know, it's called the 12-hour challenge. There's normally like a theme, sort of, but you don't have to tie to the theme. But you're basically learning a new speed game in 12 hours. So I just finished my casual playthrough of a game called Chronology that I think I'm going to use as my 12-hour challenge game. So we'll see. And then, you know, dabbling in Celeste a little bit. But
right on. And so where can people go to watch you run games?
Twitch.tv/SeaAverage. I usually stream on Monday and Wednesday nights. And then, you know, if you follow me at SeaAverage on Twitter, I usually tweet out anytime I'm going to stream, because I sometimes stream more than just those 2 nights.
Right on.
Hey guys, I'm still here. Sorry.
Hey, Brandon's alive. Praise.
Do you have any questions now that you're back?
No. I have,
do you have any questions for us?
I have some questions for YouTube, maybe, but I have a question for you, Paul. What are you gonna have for dinner tonight?
Well, I already ate, but I had chicken strips, broccoli, and some rice.
I'm glad. Where were we at in the question list? I've been doing some stuff on the back end.
Looks like everything except for these 3 has been covered.
Actually, yeah, here's a good one. Are there any VODs from GDQ that you recommend watching?
Oh boy, let me go down to my list. All right, so I kind of almost put these in order of when they happened, so that could help find them. But Iconoclast was really cool. I hadn't seen that game before. It came out the same time Celeste did, so it kind of got, you know, overshadowed a little bit by Celeste. But it's a great game that should probably be checked out by everyone. And that run was really cool. They do some crazy weird glitches and just break it open. It's awesome. The Shantae race, Shantae something pirate, is a little pirate game.
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse?
Yeah, that one. That race literally was like so close, and it was awesome. So that was a lot of fun. Warcraft 3 was an interesting take on speedrunning, because it was an RTS speedrun, which those two things, when you think about it, don't really go together. But it was really cool. And Covert Muffin, he's a good friend of mine. He is just the most genuinely awesome person, and his commentary is always great and full of memes. So Warcraft 3, obviously Master Spy. The block that was Cuphead, Hat in Time race, Celeste race was absolutely insane, because those runs were all incredible. The Celeste race was between the world record holder and the 2nd place time in the world. And that game is so fast. And even faster than that was the TAS of Celeste, which actually has like a solid 5 minutes on the world record holder. So it's really crazy. Super Mario Brothers 3 All Forts race with Grand Pooh Bear and Mitch Flower Power. The Mario Maker race, Hob, and Wind Waker HD were probably my favorites. Oh, and then Super Monkey Ball. No matter what Super Monkey Ball game it is, no matter who's running it, those are just always super fun to watch.
That's a nice list. I have to go back and watch like most of those.
I have to go back and watch most of the event, and I was there.
I'm disappointed that I didn't watch more of Sgdq because I told myself I was going to. I told myself, I was like, this time around, I'm gonna be prepared for it. I'm just gonna have it up on the TV whenever like the TV's not doing anything. I'm just gonna put Sgdq up and just watch it. And then like I totally just didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think I did put quite a bit of time in the last few days of AGDQ, the last one, and that was the first time I'd ever really watched any of Games Done Quick. And I was just like, this is so much fun. I love how everybody talks about all these different strategies they have to go through. And there's like, you know, different strats you'll take at any given moment. So like in those moments where they're like, I would do this strat, but it's really, really risky. It's like the time-saving strat, right? And then they're like, but it takes a lot to do, and we might just spend more time trying to do it than it's actually going to save. So we might as well do this one, which is a little slower, but it's a lot safer.
So you gotta do the risky one, and you gotta shout pro strats as soon as you biff it.
Oh, it's so exciting! I remember AGDQ. They had a was it Super Mario World Race?
Potentially.
I think it was a Super Mario World Race. And oh, it was so exciting. There was one, they get to this one level and they're like, okay, guy, like this is really hard to pull off. It's when you get the Yoshi and you have to keep floating it like under this place, and it's like a huge skip. And like, I think 3 out of the 4 guys like made it on their first try, and like the crowd goes wild because they're like, oh my God, they did it. Everybody's going friggin' nuts. Oh, it's so much fun to watch. So I wish I watched more of it.
I would definitely recommend the All Forts race. Grand Pooh Bear and Mitch Flower Power are both really, really good runners of, I mean, anything Mario. They both do a lot of like Mario Maker as well. But they ran, I won't spoil anything, but they ran into some hiccups and had to do a lot of routing on the fly, and it was really, really impressive and fun to watch. So definitely recommend that one.
Yeah.
Right on.
Do we have any more questions? Are we
do you have a speed running hero?
So I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily call him my speedrunning hero, but the one of the most inspirational. I mean, he's a super inspirational person in general, but that also happens to be a speedrunner. But his name is Half Coordinated. He has like, I don't know if it's like muscular dystrophy or some. Basically, he doesn't have full function in one of all of his games one-handed, essentially. Like the controller is resting in one hand and he's doing all of everything else with his other hand, which is crazy. And he's like super good. He, I think, currently has the world record in Hob. He ran it at GDQ. And yeah, he runs like all sorts of games, and he's so impressive and such just a genuinely awesome person. And yeah, I mean, if he can play games fast with one hand, shoot.
Shoot,
so he's senpai?
Were we talking about controller accessibility on the breakdown, or Nintendo stuff?
I think it was Nintendo stuff last week.
So yeah, last week we were talking about accessibility and control schemes, and like Microsoft just released like their accessibility controller. It was meant to be used like in conjunction with a regular controller, and it's like this big pad and these massive buttons, and just like a whole bunch of interesting stuff. And people are trying to solve this problem. But I mean, it's also cool to see people who like already kind of have an issue, but they make do with what's available to them, and then they kick butt anyway.
Yeah,
like, that's so cool. That's
I know.
So cool. I don't feel like I'd be that person, right? I don't think I'd be like, I'd like lose a hand and then I'd just like shrivel up and die. And then like other people, like they have all this stuff like going on and they just like, I don't know how they do it. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
So the last question.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Paul.
Sorry.
Cut me off.
One last thing, and I was wanting to know. Do you have like any standout memories, or like a favorite memory of any speedrun you've done? Like maybe a memorable biff or just really great success?
So I mean, obviously, in regards to speedrunning, going to Sgdq is like a crazy awesome memory. But I don't. So I had to think about this one a lot, and I don't really have any like favorite memories that were like my own, achievements or anything like that. But there was a 24-hour period where the Ori world record was beaten like 3 times. So like it was it was nuts, and like it was so fun to be a part of that, like in the Discord and like just going nuts over this. So like it started with the day started. It was Uncle Ronnie, Wilson, Elo Gemini. That was like 1, 2, and 3. Elo beat the world record. So, and then Wilson beat the world record, and then Uncle Ronnie beat the world record. So in a 24-hour period, the standings never changed, but the world record got lowered by a ton of time, and it was crazy.
It'll be fun to see how speedrunning matures because it's such a young thing. I mean, even especially with esports as well. A lot of the gaming culture. I mean, we're only 40, 50 years into like video gaming itself, right? It's so young. But it'll be interesting to like, because you have these stories of when speedrunning's kind of taking off, right? It's not like speedrunning, especially in its current form, has been around all that long. But 30, 40 years from now, when we're all old and we're fat, and we're talking about kids and grandchildren, and they're I don't know, maybe they'll be speed running their games, right? It's like, okay, they're at the local speed running club and they're speed running VR games or something like that,
right?
And then you could sit on the couch and you could talk about, well, I remember when the world record for it was beaten 3 times in the same day because nobody played it. And they're like, oh, wow, you play those classic games? And there's still people who play those games and still they're beating this, the world record speed run for any percent for Ori, 30, 40 years down the line.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely starting to get bigger. Like there are a handful of speedrunners that are starting to get like signed with esports teams. Like, off the top of my head, I know Grand Pooh Bear recently signed with what is it, Allegiance, I believe.
So essentially, eventually, we're just gonna have like picks. You'll have like your speed running matches all over here for all these games, and then you'll have your team sports in this section, and then it'll be televised to the whole world. I mean, that's what the internet is, right? So like even now, it's like the whole world can watch if you have a computer and internet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we will take it to the next step of the podcast. Sorry I haven't been talking much, guys.
The next level.
The next level of the podcast. So we'll go ahead and start talking about Nintendo news, what the games that we've been playing over the last week. But before we do that, we're going to take a brief intermission, and we'll be back after I do some stuff.
Awesome.
Gonna do some stuff!
So we'll see you in a second.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nintendo Stuff Podcast. It's just Logan! It's just Logan! You get me for the next hour! Just kidding. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to go necessarily, but everybody actually still is here, but their video is off because we've been having computer troubles. I will not bore you with the details, but I'm sure there is still much discussion to be had.
Oh, I'm full of it.
Hi, I'm here. Yeah, pretty much everything that Logan said. But now we're going to talk about some Nintendo stuff. So we got plenty of news to talk about. As you guys know, we always talk about the week's Super Smash blog updates. So we'll go ahead and start with that. If I can get the page to load.
Boop. 50 tabs will do that.
Yeah, man, all 50 of my tabs. So the first update of the week is Sonic. So yeah, Sonic's
Sonic
back.
is in Super Smash Bros?
Sonic is in Super Smash Brothers. It says today's fighter. Fast? This speedy fighter has a lot of rush type attacks. His final smash, Super Sonic, lets him fly around the stage at an incredible speed. From what I can tell, Sonic hasn't changed a whole lot. Still Sonic.
Sonic is Sonic.
I did notice that his animations have changed, specifically with his like dash animations, like his slowing down. Like it's a lot more like fluid, and it looks really good.
Yeah, and I think. Go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say the important thing about him being there is we get his sweet soundtrack.
Yeah, he does come with a sweet soundtrack. I think that's the #1 benefit to getting Sonic. Unless you're a Sonic fan, of course, then that is probably also a bigger benefit to you.
Sonic fans.
I was 100% a Sonic main in Brawl, and I don't know why, because he was so bad in Brawl.
Did you play with the Final Smashes?
Probably, but I was never good enough to actually get them.
Fair enough.
And now
you're playing as the fastest character.
Sonic was kind of high tier in Smash 4.
Yeah, no, he was great in Smash 4, but then I was actually good at Smash, so I played real characters.
Were you?
Well, better.
So yeah, it's kind of cool to have Sonic back. I mean, everyone's here, so it's no surprise. Moving along, today's item, Knuckles the Echidna, is the assist trophy.
Knuckles is a character in Smash Bros, guys!
Confirmed.
He's here!
Knuckles has technically been there since Brawl as a background graphic on the stage that his picture is on. So I wonder how they're going to handle that. Is Alfonso going to run in the background instead?
Is he wearing Legos on his shoes?
He's always had those, man.
Oh my god.
Huh.
He's now my favorite Sonic character. It's confirmed, guys.
I think Sonic was always my favorite because I had a Sega Genesis growing up, and we had all these games, and so specifically Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Man, playing as Knuckles was so cool because he's got like the claws, and so he can just like climb. Oh man, he was so cool. So much cooler than Sonic, let's be honest.
Well, rather than climbing, for his assist trophy, he'll actually dig into the ground and then come out and uppercut. So, I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty true to his character. But the main reason I want to bring this up is in previous Smash Brothers games, Shadow the Hedgehog was actually Sonic's assist trophy. And so far, Shadow has not appeared in the game yet, which begs the question, will he be an Echo Fighter?
Echo Fighter! Echo Fighter!
That's my hope.
Echo Fighter! Echo Fighter!
I want more Echo Fighters. Like even if they're not great, it's better than just not having like any other skins or any like newcomers at all.
Who do you think they could slap Waluigi over? Like what?
Captain Falcon. Obviously, like Captain Falcon moveset is one-to-one what Waluigi moveset would be.
There's so many characters you could just slap over Captain Falcon.
I was gonna say Ice Climbers because I mean that's just makes the most sense.
If Ice Climbers can't wobble, I'm not playing the game.
They confirmed can't wobble.
Ruined.
In
honestly,
fact,
though, like
Nana can't do anything when Popo grabs anymore. She can't attack or anything.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I think for Waluigi, if they had to like make him an echo of anybody, I'd say he's also a Peach.
Makes sense. So yeah, it'd be cool if Shadow shows up as an Echo Fighter because I actually wanted Shadow in the game back in Brawl. And I don't think it's out of the question too, because you know we've got 2 Capcom representatives, and I thought that was that would never happen, but here it is. So,
and a Konami rep. There's a Konami rep. Can you believe that? Konami didn't screw everything up.
Snake's just been hiding since Smash 4, and he finally showed up again.
I mean,
came out of his
box.
Know
from last week why. They nerfed the booty.
Yeah, they nerfed the booty, and he wasn't ready to show himself in that stage.
I'd be hiding too if they nerfed my booty. You know.
I mean, maybe IGN the last a brawl. Maybe they criticized and said too much booty. 7.8.
Not enough water.
Too much booty. Not enough water.
So moving along, today's fighter on July 2nd is Falco. Falco is a talented aerial fighter with amazing jumping ability, but Falco is a bit slower on the ground. His final smash is an all-out attack using an unorthodox formation of R-wings. So
yeah, it is.
Falco is still Falco, from what we understand. I don't believe Falco is playable in the E3 build, so we don't have a lot of information on him yet. I like his design. They didn't really change it much from Smash 4. I think that Star Fox patch on his right arm is new.
So here's my question with Fox and Falco. Do we get good shine back, or is it still going to be like the weird range shine?
I think it's probably going to stay range shine for Falco.
Dang.
But it was good for tripping. It was kind of OP in Brawl, actually.
Classic. Let's bring tripping back. I knew you were gonna Smash Brothers Ultimate, the best it can possibly.
No tripping. Tripping was a bad idea, except where the context makes sense, right? Technically they didn't get rid of tripping, right? They didn't get rid of tripping. It just occupies a much smaller space. Like if you step over a banana, over Diddy's banana, you will trip.
And certain other attacks will have trip values attached to them. I think Falco's shine in Smash 4 still could trip opponents depending on how they were hit.
Okay.
But
couldn't Ness's down attack also do that?
I think it could in Brawl. I don't know if it still does, or if it did in Smash 4. But tripping's still there, and I think mechanically it makes more sense when it's activated by a specific attack.
Well, that gives Banana special purpose. If you're just tripping just for the heck of it in the middle of a match, that's useless. Get rid of that.
Yeah, and it's been gone.
Give it a reason.
It's not coming back, so we're good there.
But what if it did?
Random tripping?
Yeah, I miss it.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you,
it's what would make Ultimate the best Smash Brothers it could be.
It's gonna balance the game out.
Exactly.
So moving on, July 3rd, today's music. You can now listen to City Trial, the official Super Smash Bros. Ultimate website. City Trial comes from Kirby's Air Ride, or Kirby Air Ride on GameCube, the City Trial mode theme. I adore that game, and I adore it for that mode, so I'm happy it's here. All I can really say about that.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
I can say that too.
Arguably more interesting is today's stage, Congo Falls.
Oh, they made that look so much prettier than it did.
Yeah, there's even a rainbow.
Holy upgrade, jeez.
Look at the texture on them logs, man.
Those are some high quality logs.
Image.
Your high quality log.
So one of the things I want to kind of start discussing when it comes to stages with the Super Smash blog is the potential for them to be legal now that hazards can be toggled off. That would...
They're just a Battlefield version of every stage, right? Like, you don't just get Final Destination of every stage, but you get a Battlefield version of every stage.
Yep, you get a Final Destination version, you get a Battlefield version, and you can play the stage with hazards or without hazards. So there's actually 4 ways to play every stage in the game.
That's pretty cool.
So the biggest discussion in the community right now is what stages that are returning will have the potential to be legal now that you can turn hazards off. That would essentially get rid of the bottom barrel, and it would stop the logs from randomly showing up on the waterfall to stand on. I've seen the argument, people saying that right stone on the far right side is too much of a camping location. Despite that, I would like to play on this stage as a legal stage. I think it'd be neat. And honestly, more stage layouts and competitive play just makes competitive play more interesting to watch.
Yeah. I definitely want to see more stages become legal.
Yeah,
I'm tired of the same 4 or 5 stages every match that you watch.
Final Destination, Battlefield, Smashville, Town and City, and
yeah, but Town and City's so good.
I love Town and City, but that doesn't mean I don't want some variety.
I still want to see a Town and City version of every stage too, but
yeah, as a Bayonetta and Zero Suit Samus player, yes, please.
So, are you guys happy to see this particular stage back?
I'm happy to see how good it looks.
Yeah,
like,
it definitely evokes some nostalgia, and I think it's mostly because not only did I play like a ton of like Melee, with this stage. There was one. There's a handful of these early events in like the single player, right, that used this stage, and I remember like struggling on some like weird ones where I think you have to fight a giant Donkey Kong on this stage. You also have to fight two mini Donkey Kongs on this stage. Yeah, something like that. But I have a lot of fun memories of it, and these images look so good. Like the textures are great. I love the way the bottom like collection of logs, rafts, or whatever you want to call it, how they kind of like curve, where they're kind of like more positioned towards the camera on the ends, where it looks like they're more even in the middle, and it's got, I don't know, it just looks really nice altogether. All the little things they did to bring it into the HD era. Got to give a quick shout out to Melee really quick, because I always thought the stage was really impressive in Melee. Just, you were talking about the logs in the center of the stage. They'll dip down when you walk across them in Melee, and to see that kind of stuff happen in a GameCube game, still really impressive to me. Right. Just all the attention to detail in that era of gaming, It's interesting to see older games do really impressive things that nowadays are kind of just like the standard, but back then, like, not all the games kind of had that attention to detail. Right. So
I'm just really happy to see them putting like so much work into bringing these retro stages, because they could have just like slapped it, but they actually took the time to update it and modernize it, and I really do appreciate that. Yeah, and I mean it helps, like, when you see this kind of stuff and how much work they put in. It really values all that time they spent developing this game in secret. We're almost at 3 years of development time, and you can tell that they really put the work in when they did it. And this wouldn't have been possible if Sakurai hadn't reused assets from Smash 4. So, for all you poor people out there, you need to stop what you're doing and appreciate the man for all the work he does.
And there's so much new stuff in here, too.
Yeah.
So much new stuff.
I would argue the next item, despite being a veteran, is new in this case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's been missing for 2 entries now.
17 years. Young Link has returned.
He's an adult now.
Yes, he is. He's back after 17 years. Young Link is faster than Link, but he's also lighter, making him easier to launch. One of the reasons I'm excited to see Young Link back, other than the fact that I absolutely adore Young Link, just in general. I love Ocarina of Time. I love playing as Young Link in Majora's Mask. And it was a great surprise unlocking him in Melee. I was never expecting that back when I was a kid. But it's nice in this specific case, because now we have Breath of the Wild Link playing closer to the way Breath of the Wild Link plays in his main game. So some of those moves have changed, and in order to retain that legacy moveset, now we have a clone that was previously cut, reintroduced into the game, and kind of filling that void.
Yeah, I mean, Young Link is just Link, but he's faster and he's lighter, right? Yeah, and that was true in Melee, and it's less true here now. But it also gave them a freedom to, like, okay, again, we're gonna, keep everybody still gets to play that Link. He's just a little bit faster, and then we're gonna change Link up a little bit. So
what is Toon Link?
It's a great excuse to bring Young Link back.
I always, Toon Link is great. Their movesets are obviously going to be pretty similar. Toon Link in Brawl was kind of an adaptation of Young Link's moveset. But
it feels a lot floatier.
He is a lot floatier. I was about to say that. And his kill potential is a lot higher than Young Link's ever was. So I'll be interested to see, like, how much they differentiate the two based on their attack properties. Because, like, the spin attack, Young Link's would trap the character in the spin attack. Regular Link would push them away. And then when they introduced Toon Link adopted that same property. So I wonder how they're going to mix that kind of stuff up, if they do at all.
It's going to be interesting that regular Link doesn't have the like grapple grab anymore. It's a traditional grab.
It's gone.
Young Link and Toon Link are the two that are going to have that, and I assume Samus and Zero Suit will still have that. But as far as Link is concerned, if you want that, if you like that ranged grab, you're going to have to move off of your regular Link and play one of the alternatives.
Yeah, and that's just another reason that it's great that they brought him here.
Right.
Not only is he a clone, but he actually serves a purpose more so in this game than he did in Melee. Yeah. And he also
I just think this is a great excuse to bring this character back as a playable character, especially when you're looking every character back into the fold. It's an easy excuse. So like, okay, now we can experiment with Link, and we can have young Link back, and everybody's gonna love that. Which I love this. I loved playing as Link and young Link in Melee, and now that Link's so much different. It's nice to still have that, right? And so I still get a little bit of nostalgia, but then we get some new things thrown into the mix.
That love I have for Ocarina of Time also certainly plays into why I am happy he's back.
Of course.
Moving on, 4th of July update.
This is a good one.
Could have been disappointing for a lot of people. Crystal is an assist trophy, so she will not be joining the ranks.
A real character in the next game.
Maybe. I hope. In addition,
I will keep the dream alive, man.
I was on Team Crystal, but I got Daisy instead. So anyway, in addition to attacking with her staff, Crystal also uses Ice Blast to freeze fighters. Don't underestimate her. Here we have a character who had 0 clone potential at all, and she gets turned into an assist trophy, and then we get Daisy as an Echo fighter.
It's okay, because we got Wolf, Falco, and Wolf. I started with Wolf, Falco, and Fox. I know my Star Fox team.
At least they've been separated as far as that cloniness between the three of them. I mean, Wolf, I guess, was never really a clone to begin with. Falco was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sad that she's not a character, but she's loved enough in the Nintendo world that Sakurai made her an assist trophy, and you know what? That's good enough for me.
Don't worry. We'll get her in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 2 for the Nintendo Switch 2.
There we go.
Switch XL.
Super Switch.
The Nintendo Switch D4.
Super Switch XL and Knuckles.
Switch D4. That's gotta be it.
Ever since I came up with Switch D4, you're the one who brings it up, and I don't get any credit.
Did you make it up? Because I'm pretty sure I did.
I made it up.
D4.
What if I made it up and you both just stole it from me and forgot?
I should have trademarked it.
You should have trademarked it? I should have trademarked
before
it.
Nintendo got to it. They probably, honestly, Nintendo probably has that on a sheet of like successors, Nintendo Switch D4. Some smart aleck was like, "Oh, write this down here. That's
gonna be the N64."
Go like to the office.
Crap like that is exactly why we don't work for Nintendo.
That's gonna be the N64 section on the Switch Online, like legacy content subscription. This is the Nintendo Switch D4 section.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So last update for the week, July 5th, was today's fighter, Pokemon Trainer.
Pokemon!
I'd say this is probably easily the most interesting of this week's updates.
They're just, I mean, but it is and it isn't. I mean, it is because it's like, okay, Pokemon Trainer's back, right? So we don't just have Charizard like in the last game. I don't know how I feel about this because I really liked Charizard as a solo character. Charizard.
Well, I mean, now you can play as him, and like he's not going to get exhausted, so you don't have to switch.
I think it's also okay because so many Pokemon in this game already that just consolidating the original starters into one character is, it makes a lot of sense. And it also they play differently that way, compared to if you're playing Pichu or Pikachu or Greninja or Lucario, whoever it may be.
I mean, did you guys? There's something very important hidden in this trailer, though. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Pokemon Trainer only has 3 Pokemon, so clearly he's not a good Pokemon trainer.
That's why he's a Pokemon trainer, not a Pokemon master, because he's not too bright.
That's sad because he's red. The Pokemon master.
Maybe.
Well, he hasn't caught them all.
And like they caught him like early on in his save, right?
Well, you remember Super...
and then they locked him in that state, and they're like, okay, now you have to take these 3 starter Pokemon, and you get to stay in the computer now.
I think I know what it is.
You get to fight other characters.
This is his starter. His starter Pokemon was a Pidgey, and
so essentially
he caught 2 other Pidgeys, and then he traded them for 3 stars.
Well,
the Pokemon trainer's existence within Smash Bros. Is in and of itself a punishment for abusing and capturing Pokemon all these years.
I can't believe you guys have forgotten the established canon in the Subspace Emissary.
In the subspace? Oh no, what's that?
Pokemon Trainer was on his Pokemon journey when he runs into Lucas, who is sad because Ness got captured by a Wario, so they start traveling together. But at this point, Pokemon Trainer only has Squirtle. And during the adventure, he catches Ivysaur and Charizard.
But that doesn't explain how they all got in the same world. My hypothesis explains how he got there in the first place.
First off, nerd. Second off, I'm sorry I didn't memorize the lore from Brawl.
Paul, we have standards on this show.
The only reason Brandon knows all this stuff
I
is
guess
he doesn't have time to do normal thing.
I don't have time to do normal human things because I'm on the back end of this podcast trying to make sure it doesn't die.
I just want to say that I don't personally. I was very upset to see Pokemon Trainer during E3.
How dare you?
I really wanted to play solo Squirtle. I played Squirtle in PM, and he was great. And they started having the solo people. So like solo Charizard was a thing in Smash 4. Like I was holding out hope, and then they like showed the Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, here we go. It's gonna work. And then they showed Pokemon Trainer. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
So Joey, I mean, me and you are kind of on this. I mean, I will echo that PM stuff because I remember being at Greenville and playing a ton of PM and loving to play Squirtle. Squirtle is the best of the original starters, I might add.
Agreed.
And he was a ton of fun to play. I would love to see all 3 of these characters, all 3 of these Pokemons,
well,
make their debut as individuals, right? Because Charizard already started the truth for Charizard, right?
Well, the reasoning behind that in Smash 4 was the 3DS. That's the reason Charizard was by himself.
Well, right. And I understand that, and I understand the reason bring back the Pokemon Trainer. And, I made that point earlier where I was like, okay, it differentiates the characters and the fighters that much more. They only have to do 1 character instead of 3, right?
The thing to take note here, well, there's a couple things to take note of. Like Paul said, they got rid of the exhaustion mechanic from Brawl. So, like, you can still choose to just play as one of them, and you won't be punished for it.
I mean, you lose that one.
You lose 1 attack, yeah. In Charizard's case, you lose Rock Smash, which was a bad move to begin with, so not much loss there. Move.
Right, but I mean, you lose all those down Bs and you gain, 2 extra characters, right?
Right. I would have been leaning kind of more with you and Logan and Joey, but the fact that got rid of the exhaustion mechanic, I was like, okay, that literally addressed the issue I had.
Right. Well, I'm glad they're dealing with that stuff. And again, I don't necessarily even have a problem with Pokemon Trainer. But I think it'll always be there, that the desire to just have them be separate characters. Like, I just want to play as Squirtle, just want to play as Charizard, even though I know it's not going to matter in the end, because chances are I'm not even going to play Pokemon Trainer all that much. I'll probably play a lot of Samus, probably play a lot of Link.
Ridley. One other thing I want to point out is in terms of characters, the Super Smash Bros. Series considers them 3 different characters. They are labeled 33, 34, and 35.
Right. Well, because they technically are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's the reason, you know, Sheik and Zelda, you know, are separate characters now. You know, that was a transformation, but they were so different that they were different characters. You transformed into a different character, and now they just are different characters. So yeah, the same, it makes sense that they would recognize them as 3 different characters.
Right. We should also take a moment to note that you can also play as the female trainer Leaf. So
that's a nice touch.
Character designs come from Fire Red and Leaf Green, and
is she an Echo Fighter?
Yeah, man. I was kind of hoping, and this probably won't happen, I was kind of hoping that there would be 1 additional Pokemon trainer from a different region.
Yeah, I was really hoping for that too.
But knowing Sakurai, and he doesn't want to do or he's not doing a lot of newcomers, I don't see that happening this time, and
Next
I'm fine
game.
with that.
Yeah.
So
if we see any more newcomers, they're...
So, in regards to the Super Smash blog, we should point out that absolutely nothing new has been announced outside of music since this began. So this has all been stuff that was in the E3 build that we've already seen. It's kind of hard when he gives us the entire, like, returning roster.
Yeah, I think we'll get some, like a handful of, like, here and there for the next few months, but I think even if they have any luck, right, they'll save those for some, like, well, it's November, it's almost December, so let's talk a little bit more about Super Smash. Also, here's the one last character we didn't talk about. Also, we might do DLC, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time to learn more. We're 5 months out. Holy cow, we're 5 months out.
Whew. On the Echo Fighter thing with Pokemon Trainer, or like the different region, it'd be cool if there was an Echo Fighter that was a trainer from a different region with 3 different starters that were like, the movesets could be similar. So like,
but 3 different Pokemon?
Like, yeah, like...
Oh, that'd be cool.
But, you know, I'd maybe work. There's always a fire, grass, and water type.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So if you did like Johto region, you could do Totodile, Bayleaf, and Typhlosion, and I think that would fit pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the only hard thing about that would be like adjusting to the different models.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at that point you're kind of like you're kind of like losing the Echo Fighter and what that represents, because like Dr. Mario is still in the game, but they don't consider him an Echo Fighter. So at that point it wouldn't be an Echo Fighter, but it would very much be a clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they changed Ganondorf, you know, just the tiniest bit, and he's not an Echo Fighter, even though they just like took, you know, Captain Falcon's moveset and just kind of put it on him, you know, originally.
But he's got a sword now too, so.
Right. So
I
mean, there's a lot of, it seems like the definition of an Echo Fighter is kind of shaky, but usually if there are less changes rather than more, now we're like, okay, these are Echo Fighters. Dark Pit is an Echo Fighter. Daisy, obviously, an Echo Fighter. Yeah.
Sakurai seems to only be attaching that name to fighters that are like the truest sense of a clone, with almost like no moves that are different. Some
balancing differences in terms of like their strength. Like, you know, Lucina, she's considered an Echo character, yeah?
Yeah. She has different blade mechanics.
Right. Just very, very slight, you know.
There are like 7 different versions of Marth in the Smash games, though, so they could all be Echo Fighters.
Everyone's Fire Emblem.
They've updated Roy a whole lot, though, in Smash 4, and that was nice to see. Especially after PM kind of made him his own thing too. I want to point out Dream Drop really quick. He says, I would have been up in arms about a Switch mechanic character if they merged Zelda and Sheik together. Bouncing Fish is too useful, man. Actually, I think I'm with you on there. Like, I'm not upset about the Pokemon trainer thing, but Zelda and Sheik, I would have actually been a little not okay with.
Yeah.
because at this point, like, now that Zelda has her own model and everything, she's from a different game, it doesn't even make sense anymore.
Right.
What about Samus and Zero Suit Samus?
That should have never been a merged character to begin with, in my opinion.
Especially the way that you transformed, right? Like with every other character that transformed, there was like some button combination. Whereas if you wanted to go back and forth between those two characters, and didn't they have separate like character slots as well?
They did on the menu, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, they were essentially separate characters, but you know, you did the final smash, and all of a sudden you're another character.
Final smash
and
ever.
That's totally like nobody means to do that, right? It happens maybe once or twice in any given match, unless you're nuts and you do like 10 stock or something like that, right? So I mean, the amount of times you're actually going to be able to use it tactfully are very few. So it just didn't make any sense, right?
I feel like Sakurai did it just to make the final smash cooler or have a more lasting effect.
Right.
But the effect is too forced, if you ask me.
Right. It's like all of a sudden you're playing a completely separate character.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
For this.
So that's all the Smash Blog updates for the week. Like we said, hopefully we'll get some more new pertinent information in the coming weeks. Sakurai really hasn't been talking about modes. I feel like he's got some big tricks up his sleeve as far as modes go. So I'm excited to hear about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's all I'm really
sure we got a couple
about.
more directs between now and launch time. So
yeah, we need like 5 different versions of Smash Tour.
We have master orders, crazy orders, very master orders, and very crazy orders. What was that, Joey?
I want another Subspace Emissary.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we were talking about this as well, and I think they might forgo it and then add it in later
DLC.
as premium DLC.
Yeah,
but I don't think people will be
Smash Toe
about the
expansion.
amount of content. I don't think we're going to be light on content.
You never are with a Smash game. There.
This is the most characters we ever had. It's not light.
They'll keep balancing the game, and when it's even more, 6 or 7 months down the line, they're like, hey, we were working on this adventure mode, and here it is.
The next update Sakurai is going to have is that
Smash Toe expansion.
Every single trophy in every game is now also in this game, even duplicates. Every single one.
3 different. What is it? 4 different versions of Mario's final Smash trophy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, maybe they could like divide it up. And it's like, okay, you got a Mario trophy, but you only have 1 of 4.
Melee Mario trophy.
You gotta play through All-Star mode 4 times to get that trophy. 5 times, because this is the new one for the new game too.
Oh no!
One of the other modes is actually Melee HD, and Sakurai is just teasing everybody.
Can we get a trophy of Snake's model from Brawl?
You can appreciate the booty whenever you want.
Right. It's like, okay, guys, it's not here in the game. It's tucked in this corner here. If you guys want to get a good look.
Smash Ultimate has won Best Fighting Game from the E3 2018 Game Critics Awards. That's great.
Didn't see that coming.
Don't think there was a lot of competition in that department anyway.
Nope.
Except, was Soul Calibur there? I don't know.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, but even then, like, if you have a chance to buy Soul Calibur or buy Super Smash Bros., I mean, majority of people probably going to pick Smash Bros. And that's not saying anything bad about Soul Calibur! Soul Calibur!
Okay. Thanks. 10 out of 10, Logan.
10 out of 10.
Let's see. Germany's giant game rating logo sees Yoshi binned off the Smash Brothers box. This is hilarious to me. Would have been better if it was Luigi.
It's so good. So good.
Silly story, but funny nonetheless. Okay, so this is a good thing to note. All the returning fighters from Smash Ultimate that were cut from the previous games will be getting amiibo. So like Ice Climber, Young Link, all of those guys getting amiibos.
When I saw this headline, I was really hoping it was going to be all amiibos are returning. With that,
Yeah.
I want them all to come back in action so I can get some of the ones that I didn't get from Smash 4.
Can I get an amiibo of
they confirmed
the box?
they're reprinting all of them, I think.
I mean, it's Super Smash Bros. I mean, there's a chance to sell more amiibo. So
Yeah.
why would you?
Well, here's the thing. I've had a theory about this. They're going to reprint them, but they're going to put the new logo on the box with the new key art, maybe, and cause collectors to have to buy them again.
Yeah, I can see it.
Sorry,
That's
Brandon.
funny.
Oh,
I'd
well,
like
I
to
throw
get
the boxes
some,
away,
like, some
so that's nothing to
updates,
me.
right?
You monster.
You
But
monster
that takes
frisbee.
a lot of work. I mean, I love the box art so much. Like, this is the prettiest thing like I've ever seen. Can I get an amiibo of just the box?
A box amiibo.
Just the box, like an amiibo with like a miniature version of the Super Smash Bros. Nintendo Switch box.
New business idea. We're going to buy amiibo, carefully remove the amiibo, and then resell the box.
There
First,
you
I
go.
thought you were gonna say we're doing custom amiibo, guys.
People will buy those, Paul. It is a real thing.
So that's a good business idea.
It kind of is. I'm a part of a buy, sell, and trade group for old Nintendo stuff, and people will just sell boxes because people need them. It's a thing that'll never go away.
That's fair.
I'm gonna skip some of these stories just for time's sake.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
So Nintendo is considering a successor to the 3DS, according to new president Shuntaro Furukawa.
But why?
It's not
You're
as like
already in the
straightforward
mobile
as it
space.
sounds.
And with the Switch, they like
It was more of a we're considering maybe doing
they should have
something
just
else.
made the Switch compatible with 3DS games.
Yeah. The one thing I feel like I can say is that the 3DS is still more portable than the Switch,
And more profitable.
apparently.
I mean, when you're considering like what hardware to do next if you're in their shoes, like you have to at least consider doing another successor.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So I mean,
4D.
4DS.
4D.
You can smell the action.
It sprays water at you.
I think Nintendo's past that kind of stuff. I feel like if Nintendo does something really drastic with their next like mobile stuff,
Maybe they should take their mobile and also make it a home console.
Here's what's going to happen. If they do another dedicated portable system, a successor to the 3DS, if you will, I think it would actually be a successor to the 2DS and be a child-marketed console only.
I could see that, but I also could see like an offshooting, right, into something entirely different, right?
Switch Mini.
I don't know. It's just it's hard to think about the relevancy of a mobile console even then, you know, because
I agree with Brandon.
I mean, there's different experiences, but a lot of people, if they think gaming mobility, they just think about their phones, right? And the ones who do buy 3DSs, they're younger, generally speaking, right? And they're playing those kind of games that they get for the birthday and whatever else it is. But I mean, if there's still a market, then so be it. I mean, it's not like Nintendo's at a loss for ideas or games to make, right? At least that's what they've shown with the Switch. Is they keep churning them out, and they're great. But the 3DS also has been getting less love. So my question is, like, can you continue to grow so that if they do follow up with a 3DS successor, that they're going to have the means to make a lot of great games for both platforms. Also, I think it'd be another excuse for Nintendo to develop their own game for two different platforms, selling it 2 different times. Which they've done pretty frequently as of recently.
Honestly,
go ahead.
After you.
Okay. I think they'd almost have to release, like, whatever the successor, we'll call it the 4DS for now. They'd almost have to release, like, 4DS exclusives to make people buy the system.
Oh,
like,
no, they totally would. Right? They wouldn't just do, like, a cross...
Oh yeah,
you know,
I wouldn't rule that out at all.
Like,
yeah, no, they
why own one when Switch exists? Like,
I mean, that is evident enough already with what they are still doing with the 3DS. Whereas the 3DS library is already so rich that they don't really have to fill it out anymore. That they're just kind of like just tossing a few titles.
Well, I think Brandon hit it on the head with this. I think if they do something else, it's going to be geared more towards children, because that's, I think, where they're going with 3DS right now. Like, if you look at their current campaigns, it's very like child-oriented, you know, their Nintendo Days of Summer or whatever the heck it is.
Right.
But also, I could see them, like, as a parent, you probably don't want your kids sitting and playing games on their phone all day. You want to try and keep them away from that. And so having a dedicated handheld for your child to play and not give them a phone, I think is an interesting opportunity for them.
That's fair. Shoot, there was something else I was thinking.
You also have to take note is that they're pushing the 2DS really hard, and that system is incredibly cheap. So whatever this alternative is, it's going to be a cheap alternative to the heavier and more expensive Switch.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you look at what they're doing with DS and the 2DS right now with their releases. It's a lot of remakes. You know, we have the Luigi's Mansion remake. We have the remake of Samus Returns. We have the remake of the Mario and Luigi games. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some sort of Paper Mario remake down the line, which I would hate if a Paper Mario remake of the door ended up on the friggin' 3DS and not the Switch, which I could totally see happening, and I'd be very disappointed.
Good. I'm glad for you, Logan. Yes, I would want a Paper Mario on the Switch myself. Anyway, Reggie gives some updates on Metroid Prime 4 and the Switch Online service. Paul, can you take this one?
They're still working on it.
Yep,
I believe
that's it.
I forgot what exactly which online portion. I believe it was more or less just like we're gonna have more updates soon, which is, you know,
soon.
It was that it was still on track. That's the exact quote. It's going to launch in September and it's still on track.
Yeah.
Thanks, Reggie.
I think it was important for him to say that too, since this has been delayed so many times as it is.
Yeah,
I can understand that approach.
When they finally said, "Hey, September," I think that was they were sure they could deliver when they made that statement. You know.
Really quick, Splatoon 2 has announced a global Splatfest later this month, and it's doing exactly what I thought it would do. It's going to be Inklings versus Octolings, and if you don't own the Octo Expansion DLC, if you decide to play on the Octoling team, you will play as an Octoling even if you don't own it.
Wow!
This is to sell the DLC, by the way. That is the entire point of this Splatfest.
I've already bought the DLC.
I haven't. Yeah, who hasn't been sold?
Yeah, so, well, the thing is, they're going to give people the opportunity to play as an Octoling. They'll be like, oh, man, Octolings are so cool.
And then they're going to take it away.
They're going to take it away. It's exactly what's going to happen.
And they're like, now you want to spend $20. And they reply, now we want to spend $20.
I mean, first off, it's good DLC for $20, so if you haven't bought it yet, buy it.
This might be the best DLC I've ever paid for. Just like as an overall package, is very, very good. I lost what I was going to say. Oh, the other thing is the Octolings are going to win, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, unless their team's oversaturated.
Yeah, no, I think
there have been 3 Splatfests in the past where the popular team won. I think it's possible.
Yeah, because generally speaking, the less populated team wins.
Yeah, it's happened 3 times in the past where the more popular team has won, so I think it can still happen here. The other reason I say that is the Octo expansion is hard and for seasoned players. So a lot of that player base is going to be players, people who, you know, own the expansion and play as Octolings on their own. They're going to be better at the game.
There's a 100% chance that the Octoling team is going to be stacked.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Glad this is happening. I'll definitely be participating. Joey, do you play Splatoon? Do you have a Switch? I don't know.
I don't have a Switch.
Okay.
You should.
You're right.
Him on this podcast in the first place if he doesn't play Nintendo. Just kidding. I love you, Joey.
Seeing everyone walking around GDQ with their Switches, it made me really regret my decision to buy a PS4 instead of a Switch.
Or you could do what we did.
They're both the right answer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's probably going to happen.
That being said, I definitely had my Switch before I had my PS4.
And kind of playing into that really quick, Reggie says Nintendo is focused on making sure the supply chain is robust for the Switch this autumn. So it shouldn't be hard to find one, and it hasn't been hard to find one for a long time. So I don't really think this was a necessary thing for Reggie, but he said it anyway.
Right.
Moving forward.
Well, I mean, how many units are they gonna move?
Well, they're planning on planning on selling 20 million this year.
This is
And they're
holiday
gonna do it.
preparation.
They're trying to have that much hardware on the shelves available. That is their plan.
And they have to be prepared for that holiday rush too. With big games like Pokemon and Super Smash Bros. Coming, they're going to sell a lot of Switches. Specifically with Pokemon.
Yeah, specifically with Pokemon.
Former Retro Studios employee claims Nintendo is shutting Retro Studios down.
The follow-up to that is also related to that story.
Yeah, so a lot of bad things coming out of Retro Studios, according to these employees, citing bad management. And there hasn't been anything done to alleviate those issues for a long time.
I could 100% believe that they're being mismanaged. It would explain a lot, honestly.
There was also rumors that their last few games before these the Star Fox rumor came out that their games were struggling through development, and that could be related to this problem. And if this continues and we lose Retro Studios, here's what's going to happen. Those developers who are at Retro Studios, who are passionate and making great games like Donkey Kong Country, are going to form their own studio or move to other studios. We're not going to lose the people; we'll lose the name. It's still kind of sad.
I was about to say. I mean, that's all it is. It's a name. Done. Most of the people who worked on Metroid Prime are gone.
They're not working on Prime 4, so no loss there.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's time to you close the door on an organization that just isn't functioning anywhere, and you can, take the assets and take the people, put them elsewhere. I mean, Nintendo definitely I think Nintendo needs more Western studios.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right now, their Western studios are indie developers.
Yeah.
I honestly hope in this case, like, rather than just shutting them down, I hope they at least try. Have a shakeup in management, get someone else in there that can manage this team, and give them a chance to turn it around. Don't just shut them down.
Right. And if it comes to the point where we need to just shut the whole thing down, and then again just take the pieces and put them elsewhere. Again, this is a name. It's not. It holds sentimental value, but on a practical level, like, it doesn't matter. It's just an umbrella for people to exist under, and those people will go off and still do great things, even without the Retro Studios logo on it.
For sure. Nothing's bad. Nothing bad's going to come of this, outside of maybe a couple people losing their jobs who shouldn't lose their jobs.
Maybe some promising projects getting shelved.
Yeah,
but who knows? Maybe they'll take, if there's anything that's worthwhile, maybe they'll take what they were working on and have a different team pick up the pieces.
Yeah. So moving on, Kimishima reveals that Nintendo plans to announce full Switch Autumn lineup at an appropriate time. Hey guys, there's more games coming this year, if you didn't realize that already. I understand the need for them to say this after the reactions to their latest E3 presentation, but their E3s have been like this for the last 3 or 4 years, so I don't know why anyone was really that surprised.
I mean, you can, like, if you look at it, take a step back. If you're not a Smash fan, then they didn't show a lot new.
Right. Yeah, like, if you're not a Smash fan, E3 was probably really disappointing for you.
And so I think from that perspective, and I mean, a lot of this was a statement for investors. I'm 200% positive.
Yeah.
That this is like in response to the stock prices dropping after that.
I also heard, I was listening to Nintendo Dads, and one of the guys on there is an investor, and he says that this always happens after E3.
Yeah.
And it was not a sign of bad things.
Right. I mean, the stock market's so volatile, right? So any sort of small piece of news can cause, you know, the stock price to rise or to fall.
Well, I mean, how many times a year do we read about Nintendo stock prices dropping? Like,
right,
yeah.
But then, like, they're on the up and up, guys. Like, their business is doing great. Overall, over time, their stock is going to rise, you know. Man, I wish I would have just taken a chunk of money and right after, like, kind of like the dip of the Wii U, right? The Wii U came out and everyone's like, oh, it really sucks. And all of a sudden the price of the stocks just starts to drop.
See, actually, I was invested in Nintendo, but it was before, it was in between Wii and Wii U. And so after all the Wii U stuff, I got rid of it and I regret it so much.
Yeah, because, you know, it'd be worth more now. And that's the whole point, right?
Yep.
That was a rough patch, wasn't it?
Yep.
Moving on, let's see. I'm going to dip into some third-party stuff real quick. I want to quickly mention Todd Howard says Bethesda will certainly be doing things with the Switch in the future. This is great news. I thought it was also kind of obvious. They've been supporting the Switch really well, and it seems like their games are also performing well on the system, so all-around good news. The third-party...
there's money to be made.
The third-party relationships Nintendo has this console generation are very unusual, but very promising. Nintendo's not been in a position like this for a long time. And that's not to say it's stellar, but it's also not bad. Like, you know, we went through the Wii and Wii U eras where third-party support was nothing on those systems. Or, you know, the N64 was even worse, I think. So I take this as good news. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Speaking of third-party relationships, Reggie was talking about the relationship with Ubisoft and sharing IP. We mentioned... I think it was last week or maybe the week before that there are more Nintendo collaborations with Ubisoft coming. We're not done at Star Fox. That's exciting to me.
I mean, if you were telling me this like after Mario and Rabbids, like one is, you know, coincidence. Two, that's intentional.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't help but feel that Mario and Rabbids was such a success that even after just that, you told me that there was more coming from Ubisoft. And then I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, it's like, if you're trying to prove a conspiracy, if you can prove that, you know, that everything is motivated by, like, oh, cash money, it's like people are going to believe that. That makes sense. I mean, so the same thing here, like, okay, Nintendo and Ubisoft are making to me. It's like the only answer is duh, you know. So like, this is like, I don't know. It's kind of like when you were talking earlier about Reggie talking about the supply chain and being like, yeah, no kidding. And then Nintendo and Ubisoft come out and say, hey, we got more stuff in the works. I'm just kind of like, is this really news? You know. That's just where I'm at, you know?
I think specifically this relationship with Ubisoft is newsworthy because it's signs of a new Nintendo. It's a Nintendo we've been experiencing for at least a few years, but it's good to know that the results have been good and that it's inspiring more.
Yeah, they've been really open about like crossplay, especially with this whole like Minecraft thing, and they had the Microsoft Nintendo trailer for Minecraft, and whether intentional or not, it was kind of a slight against Sony. That was a beautiful thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that Nintendo does differently now than they did even like a few years ago, and that's a good thing. It's what gave us the Switch.
That's why I'm excited about Furukawa, who currently has an incredibly high, what was it, rating?
96% approval rating. Like they still had to vote these people in, and it's funny if you look like every representative for their positions, because like everyone was like 96 to 98%. But I mean, it was a smooth transition.
I have a feeling like that the culture of approval ratings might work a little differently in Japan too. There's like a level of respect that you have to give somebody, so even if you don't like them, you still might have to vote up for them.
I mean, I'd say you'd have to be really worried about like a prospective candidate in order to not vote for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, excited about Furukawa. Man, Furukawa. I keep thinking about him.
He should have a bakery.
He really should. I'm upset that he doesn't. And specifically 3 Dongo plushies. Really quick, Paul, you wanted to talk about a game called Semblance.
Yeah, this is actually one that Dylan brought up to my attention. And it's a platformer, it's indie, and like, you know, that of course resonates with me, but it's actually that the significance behind the developers. They're the first South African developers to put a game on a Nintendo platform. So this is actually a pretty big deal. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's that's coming out this month, it looks like.
24th.
So yeah, definitely look out for that on the eShop. Keep your eyes on the eShop, people. Like, there's great stuff coming out every week, and it's easy to get lost in the way the eShop's laid out.
Yeah, I check every once in a while, at least one.
A game that I liked a lot on Wii U called Runbow just came out on Switch.
Oh man, there was a Runbow race at Sgdq, and what a game that looks like.
Runbow is an action platform party game, and it's got a really cool mechanic where if the color of a platform is the same as the background, that platform no longer exists and you fall through it. And the background is constantly changing with weird patterns, and the way it moves is really strange. It's a really fun game, and unfortunately it died out pretty quick on Wii U in terms of an online community, and that really hurt the game, at least from an online perspective, because the local was still there. So I hope.
Do we know how it's doing on Switch, or did it like just launch?
That was like this week, I think, so a little early to tell. But highly recommended if you have a house of a lot of kids. Need something that you can play as a family. Really quick, there are a lot of free games on Twitch if you got Twitch Prime this month. And you can get Twitch Prime if you have Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime Day is coming too. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. And no, not a sponsor.
Amazon Prime games?
Amazon Prime Day.
Oh.
But Twitch Prime games.
And there's a lot of them.
They're doing a free game every day this month, and each one's only available for like a few days. They've had some really good ones. The very first one was Pillars of Eternity, like Definitive Edition or whatever, and then today's was like Goner, which is like a roguelite platformer, and it's awesome.
There was a video about Goner on the way back on this channel done by Dylan, for those of you interested. So yeah, definitely check those out. You can also, I guess, could you cheat the system by doing an Amazon Prime trial membership?
I believe so. Yeah.
So free games, completely free. You can't lose here. A lot of Fortnite news. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut that from today's show. We're running a little long. So let's get to the games we've been playing. Joey, I want to kind of throw this in your direction. What have you been up to?
So we talked a little bit about me playing Celeste and Chronology. I've also been playing a little bit of Dad of Boy, also known as
Dad of Boy.
God of War.
Fans of our show would know how much we love that game.
Such a good game. And then Wednesday, for the first time, I played Breath of the Wild, which is only the second time I've ever played a Zelda game. And only the first time I've ever enjoyed a Zelda game. So,
what was the first game?
Which one did you play and not enjoy?
I attempted to play A Link to the Past as my first ever Zelda, and
trigger word.
It did not go great.
A Link to the Past is my trigger word?
I thought that was one of your favorites.
To be fair, I didn't play it exactly the way I should have. I generated a vanilla randomizer seed because I planning on playing the randomizer
as your first playthrough.
Right, but I wasn't aware of the fact that even if I was doing a vanilla seed, all the signs were just random garbage, and the map didn't work, and like, so.
Whoops.
Yeah, so that might have played into it not going well.
You might just want to play it regular.
Yeah, but I also don't love Zelda formula games because I played like Darksiders and stuff like that, and I hate the Zelda formula. Okay. So Breath of the Wild is great though.
Yeah, I think it might do you some good just to like get through like a more traditional style Zelda, because I mean Breath of the Wild's like super accessible, right?
Yeah.
It's just super easy to get into. It's fun. But I would say Link to the Past, if you can get through Link to the Past. I've played most of the way through Link to the Past. I still need to finish that game. And then
if you hate the Zelda formula, play Majora's Mask. Try that one.
Majora's Mask is objectively not the one you want to play.
It's like the least Zelda of the group.
It's like the most convoluted though.
I disagree.
Dude.
I got through that game no problem.
Well, you're Brandon. Not everybody's Brandon.
Sorry.
Yeah, Brandon. I would say just play Ocarina of Time. Or if you're really into motion controls, you just play Skyward Sword, because that's the best 3D Zelda game. That isn't
obviously like if you're gonna play any Zelda game, you need to play Zelda Awakening.
I thought Paul was gonna pull a meme out of his butt and say something like Zelda's Adventure.
But how do you like Breath of the Wild?
Oh man, I played for like 4.5 hours, did like nothing, because every time I planned on doing something, I got distracted by something else and went and did that instead. I love how every time I ask myself, I wonder if I can do this, the game's just like, yeah, go for it. Like, you want to chop down that tree, stasis launch yourself into a river and ride it downstream? You go right on ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, actually, so obviously you know about stasis launching, which is something I didn't know until I watched ADGQ. Awesome Games
AGDQ.
Yeah. And I was watching their Breath of the Wild run, which was one of their last speed runs, and they were doing that stasis launch, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So to start playing that game and already kind of have that knowledge of what the physics engine is going to do, that must be a blast.
Yeah, no, it was a good time.
Well, you know, for someone who doesn't like the traditional Zelda formula, I guess you're in for good news, because this is the future of the Zelda series right here.
Yeah, that's great for me. I love it. It's just like, oh yeah, here. I mean, it sort of does it. You have to go to all the shrines and, you know, get the stuff, but after that, it's like, all right, and now go. You have everything, and go have fun. Like,
I do miss some of the elements of progression from the older games. I mean, there's something about the linear for a certain style of progression that I really appreciate, and most specifically some of the 3D games, and I'd like to see some of that come back. I'd like Breath of the Wild to be a little less open, if you get my drift. But that's just me personally. They could go even further the other way and just make everything even more open, which I don't know how you do at this point without the game completely falling apart.
You can climb everything.
You already can climb everything.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's no going up from here unless you can fly.
Right.
I mean,
flight confirmed.
You kind of do that with stasis launching and gliders.
Yeah. I mean, at least in certain places, they limited your ability to climb. So, like, you can't climb any of the shrine surfaces, and
but you can get in a minecart, put it on top of another minecart, and then use magnesis on the minecart on the bottom, and then float it into the air.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. I don't know how you'd even go about fixing that with the physics engine.
I don't think they cared enough to fix it.
No, they were definitely very open about just, hey, we want people to do stuff, and we want people to be able to do stuff like that we didn't anticipate, and people have definitely done that.
Another mention in terms of like speed running, shrine breaking is incredibly fun to watch. because that is an ever-evolving thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just some of the ways people break these shrines is unbelievable.
One of my friends in the Ori community is currently routing a new category, and it originally was going to be stasisless, bombless, swordless. And you should have seen the ways that he was doing all of the shrines without bombs or swords or stasis. It was crazy.
Oh, that sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it has since evolved into just stasisless because a couple things ended up being, like, later ended up not working. But I mean, he could get off the plateau without using any of those things, which was nuts. Bomb arrows can do a lot of things.
That's awesome. So, Paul, what have you been playing?
The only game I've managed to fit in this week was Hollow Knight, but what a game!
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
I just bought that one.
You are in for a treat.
You
my
really
friend.
are. Like, I'm only like an hour in, but I'm hooked.
I mean, based on all of my Ori hours, Metroidvania should be fine.
This is your game.
I made it to like through the second world, beat the second boss or second area, beat the second boss, and I'm currently trying to figure out where I can get a map in the third area. I cannot say enough good things about Hollow Knight. Like, if you haven't, buy it.
There's a lot of good names that are just blank and the word knight. Shovel Knight is also a good game if you haven't played that.
I also bought Jedi Knight Academy.
There you go.
During the Steam
Fill in the
sale,
night.
Yes.
Night
I
in the
haven't
Woods.
played Jedi Knight Academy. I do have Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast.
Shout out to Devin in the chat, even though chat's like literally like 5 minutes behind. It's really bad right now.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
So I'm still playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm in the middle of chapter 6 right now. The story just keeps getting better and better and better as I go.
Fine, I'll play it. Gosh,
you're missing out, Paul. You quit too quick. It's
I ran out of time, man.
No, I feel
I
like this is a
decided
big
not
game. I keep like seeing more and more of the past of the story, which looks like it's going to play a big part in the DLC expansion that's coming out in December. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the scenes that I've seen, like as flashbacks, will just be entire scenes that I play out in the expansion. I'm actually really excited for that. I anticipate I got about another 35 hours before I complete the story, and I'm raring to go. I'm level 43 with my characters right now.
You said another 35 hours?
That's what I'm expecting.
So, like, another 30 hours of cutscenes?
Yeah, just about. If you don't like cutscenes, you're not going to like this game.
I don't mind cutscenes. It's just like, at the beginning of the cutscene, I was planning on going and doing something else, and then an hour later, when the cutscene's still going on, that's when I have a problem.
Well, I mean, the way the game works is it breaks its cutscenes up into several parts so that you can stop playing in between if you need to. I thought about this because oftentimes I'll experience a cutscene, characters will talk to each other, and then the game will be like, all right, you have to go over here, and over here will literally be like 100 steps away. And it occurred to me that was because it gives you a chance to save and turn the game off if you need to stop.
It's a potty break.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So at first I was like, this is weird design, and then I was like, wait, no, this is great design.
Yeah.
Outside of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I've been playing Pokemon Go a whole lot, actually.
I noticed.
I'm enjoying myself. The player base is just as active as it was in its peak during its launch year, which is incredible. It's fun. I caught a Pikachu with a hat and sunglasses today. That was great. My wife caught an Articuno. I'm still mad. Yeah. This is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, by the way. It's very non-linear. You can go wherever you want, do whatever you want.
I quit.
The only thing I don't like are the microtransactions. They should probably take that out of Zelda. So yeah, that's all I've been playing this week.
See, they need the microtransactions, though, for, like, where I live. and there's no Pokestops, so there's no chance of getting any more Pokeballs.
That's why I send you gifts every day.
I appreciate you.
Speaking of Pokemon Go, there's a new version. There's like a Jurassic Park version of Pokemon Go now, and it's freaking cool.
Yeah, that just came out. Haven't looked at that one yet, but have you guys played Garfield Go?
Oh no.
No.
There's so many imitators.
I want to play the Westworld one, and then Nintendo can sue them.
I watched a video from a YouTuber, Pay Money Wubby, about a Garfield like kart racer. So I wonder how many Garfield games there are, just like imitations of like pre-existing.
Careful, Logan!
franchises.
You're about to step into an underworld.
I'm pretty sure there's a run of a Garfield game at Agdq.
That's amazing.
Was it a good Garfield game?
Oh, I have
or was
no
it
idea. It was probably a meme. It was probably during the awful block, honestly.
I want to see the fastest speed run of Pokemon Go.
Oh, jeez.
That sounds like a... I don't know.
It's a non-linear stream.
NLE. Logan, have you played anything?
You know, I have played something. So it's mostly stuff that I've been playing, right?
Adobe.
I haven't really played any new. Yeah, I think it still currently says I'm playing Adobe Audition. No, wait, I exited Adobe Audition earlier today.
That's the first time in like 2 days I've seen you not playing Adobe Audition.
It's just been up on my computer. Leave it up on my computer. No, I mean, I played more Payday 2. I played a little more GTA 5. I haven't touched the Octa expansion. Yeah, I mean, it's just been a lot of the same stuff, and it's been really good though. I really Payday 2. Maybe I'll just make this about if there's anybody still watching, I'm gonna play games tonight because it's the weekend. So if anybody wants to play, hit me up through Discord.
Join our Discord.
Go on our Discord.
Link in
Join our
description.
Discord. If you're in our Discord, already chatting up. Again, I've the last few times I've just played with people and gotten on Discord, I've been sitting in the public chat rooms within the break room, and I'll just do that from time to time. So if anybody wants to jump in, have a conversation, or join in with some Payday 2 or whatever we're playing, I'll do that from time to time. But yeah, I haven't played a lot outside of that. It's just been playing games with life, right? You know, wait until the last minute to pay that internet bill and all those exciting games. You know how to.
I might have to call my internet company after this if they're still
Yeah, no
open.
kidding.
Probably not. Well, that was a packed episode. I want to thank you guys for... What's that?
We even had an intermission.
We did. Unbearably long, and I apologize. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Quickly, Joey, where can people find you?
So you can find me at twitch.tv/SeaAverage. You can find me on Twitter. It's just at SeaAverage. I have a Discord, which the link is on my Twitch page. Yeah, that's pretty much where you find me.
Sweet. And you can find us at our individual Twitters at I'm at Babababs. You can find Logan at LoggyDubs, Paul at Gunnysaurus. You can find us as a collective at Breakroom Arcade on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, all your favorite social medias. If you want to help support the show like our fabulous patrons, Dream Drop and Navanci. Navanci? I think that's it. I know who he is in real life, so it doesn't matter.
He's got a name.
You can support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get some cool podcast interactions. Go to that to figure out what those are all about. You can ask us some questions in the Breakdown Podcast. We'll answer them live on the show. Lots of cool things you can do with that. So help us out on Patreon if you can. If you can't, we love you anyway. Thanks for being here.
Go to iTunes and review.
Yes, please go to our iTunes and review. So far, we have so little reviews that iTunes will not even populate the ones that we have. So help us out with that. It really helps the show grow. We've been growing a lot lately, so we want to thank all the subscribers that have been joining recently. There's a lot of you, as it turns out. So yeah, followed Logan after the show's over to go play some games with him. I'm gonna go see Ant-Man and the Wasp with my wife and my friend Dylan.
Change of plans. We're going to Rockford to join.
All right, okay. Bye, Logan. So make sure you come back, subscribe if you haven't. We're having our breakdown podcast if you're a fan of that. Monday nights, or not Monday nights. Oh yeah, it is Monday night. Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Central. We'll be talking about our favorite movies, anime, TV, and games that we experienced over the previous week. So if you're into that stuff, check that out. If you like Roger's Base, and you also like Shokugeki no Soma, we will be having an episode dedicated to Shokugeki no Soma with Roger's Base as a guest.
Excite!
There is no date for that yet, by the way. He's currently at Anime Expo, and that can be a very tiring experience, so we're going to give him some time to catch back up with his life after the fact. So once again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Don't break your backs. Breaking the games. But for now, break time is over.